The rain wasn't heavy, but it was the kind that seeped in, persistent, cold, whispering to the city like a quiet warning. Seattle was used to this kind of weather. People moved through it with practiced indifference, heads low, umbrellas tight, steps hurried. Lauren didn't mind the rain, not usually, but today it had a bite to it, the kind that clung to her skin and refused to let go. She tugged her coat tighter as she walked down Pine Street, the sidewalk glossy under the glow of streetlights and shop windows. It had been a long day. Teaching 10th grade literature was rewarding but exhausting. Her students had been restless. The rain had crept into her shoes sometime before lunch, and the coffee in the teacher's lounge had tasted like cardboard. All she wanted was to get home, change into dry clothes, and forget the world for a while. That was when she saw the girl. At first, Lauren thought she might be waiting for someone, a parent maybe, or an older sibling. The girl stood near the edge of a closed storefront, her small frame barely sheltered by the awning. She couldn't have been older than 10. Her hair was plastered to her face, with strands curling over her cheeks, and she wore a bright yellow jacket that looked 2 sizes too big. In her hands, she held a small plastic container, the kind used for candy or trinkets, and a hand-painted cardboard sign that read in messy letters, "Lollipops, $1. Lauren slowed down. The girl's face was calm, almost too calm, with a practiced smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. People passed her without a glance, hurrying along in the drizzle, the way you do when something uncomfortable pricks at the edge of your awareness. But the girl never stopped smiling, never stopped holding the sign. Her eyes scanned each passerby carefully, like she was reading them. Lauren didn't know why she stopped. Maybe it was the rain, or the strange stillness in the girl's posture, or something else she couldn't quite name. She reached into her coat pocket for her wallet and stepped closer. "Hi there," Lauren said, her voice soft over the rain. "You out here all alone?" The girl blinked once, then nodded. "Just selling lollipops," she said, polite, steady. Her voice was clearer than Lauren expected. Articulate, without the typical wavering uncertainty of a child that age. "Would you like one?" Lauren looked down at the container. It held maybe a dozen lollipops in colorful wrappers, half of them slightly wet from the drizzle. She handed over $1 and took a red one. "I'm Lauren," she said. "What's your name?" "Maya." The girl didn't offer a last name, and Lauren didn't press. "You always sell candy out here?" she asked, crouching a little so they were at eye level. "Only sometimes," Maya replied. "After school." Her tone was practiced, the words too precise, like she had memorized them. Lauren looked her over more carefully now. She was thin, though not painfully so. Her cheeks had color, but her eyes looked older than they should, tired in a way that made Lauren's chest ache. But it wasn't just that. It was a backpack. At first, Lauren hadn't noticed it. The bag was large, far too large for a girl Maya's size. It sat squarely on her back, the straps tightened to the limit, bulging at the seams. Not with school books. It sagged unevenly, the contents shifting whenever Maya moved. It looked heavy, the kind of weight a child shouldn't be carrying, not in the physical sense, and maybe not in any other either. "You don't have an umbrella?" Lauren asked gently. Maya shook her head. "I don't mind the rain." Lauren hesitated. "Where's home?" The girl's smile flickered for the first time, just briefly, like a candle in a draft. "Close," Maya said, and took a small step back. "I should go now. Thank you for the $1. Before Lauren could respond, the girl turned and walked briskly down a narrow side street. The sound of her footsteps splashed faintly against the wet concrete. Lauren stood there, frozen for a moment, watching her disappear between 2 buildings. She didn't follow. She turned the lollipop over in her hand and realized she had no intention of eating it. The walk home was slower after that. The girl's face stayed with her, those steady eyes, the calm voice, the absurd size of that backpack. And more than anything, the feeling that Maya had practiced every answer she gave. That night, Lauren couldn't sleep. She told herself it wasn't a problem. Maybe the girl really did just sell candy after school. Maybe the backpack held books and extra clothes, nothing unusual. But the unease wouldn't go away. It lingered like the smell of damp wool, clinging to her thoughts, refusing to be ignored. By morning, she had made a decision. She would go back. Same time, same place, just to be sure. Lauren left work earlier than usual that day, her nerves tight with a mix of purpose and unease. Her students had noticed she was distracted, her responses curt, her gaze drifting to the windows more than once during class. She had parked a few blocks away from the place where she'd first seen Maya, timing her walk to match the previous afternoon. The rain had lightened to a mist, enough to blur the outlines of the street signs and turn headlights into small halos of white and yellow. She kept her pace steady, heart knocking in her chest, eyes scanning the sidewalk ahead. Maya was there again. This time, her jacket was dry, the yellow brighter under the dim overcast light, but everything else was the same. The cardboard sign, the container with lollipops, the too large backpack that seemed to tug at her frame with invisible hands. Lauren crossed the street slowly, careful not to startle her. Maya looked up when she approached, recognition flickering behind her eyes, but she didn't smile this time. She simply nodded. "You came back?" she said, as if she'd expected it. Lauren gave a small nod in return. "It's a little cold out here. Thought maybe you'd like some hot chocolate." Maya shook her head politely. "Thank you, but I'm okay." Lauren didn't push. She reached into her coat and pulled out a folded paper napkin. Inside, a still warm chocolate chip muffin she'd picked up on her way. "I got this for you. You don't have to eat it now." Maya hesitated, then accepted the muffin with careful fingers. "Thank you." For a moment, they stood in silence, people drifting by like ghosts, too absorbed in their own destinations to notice a quiet exchange between a woman and a child. Lauren tried again. "Do your parents know you're here?" Maya blinked once. "They're busy." Something about the response felt wrong. Not the words themselves, but how quickly they came, how easily they landed, as if they had been rehearsed. Lauren wanted to ask more, but a movement from the far end of the block caught her attention. A man, maybe in his 40s, was watching them from across the street. His clothes were unremarkable, a windbreaker, dark jeans, baseball cap, but his posture was stiff, predatory. When Lauren turned her gaze fully on him, he didn't look away. Maya's body stiffened. "I have to go," she said quickly, snapping the lid on the container of lollipops and stuffing the sign into her jacket pocket. The muffin remained clutched in one hand, the other grabbing hold of the strap of her backpack. "Maya, wait!" But the girl was already moving, her pace fast and controlled. Not a run, but something just short of it. Lauren hesitated only a second before following at a distance. She didn't look back to see if the man followed. Her focus was locked on Maya's small figure weaving between pedestrians, turning sharply down an alley Lauren hadn't noticed before. The alley opened up behind a row of rundown shops, leading to a narrow gravel lot bordered by chain-link fence. Beyond it, tucked between two shuttered laundromats, stood a building that looked condemned. Windows dark and boarded, doors splintered near the bottom, a faded "no trespassing" sign barely hanging from one nail. Lauren kept her distance, ducking behind a rusted dumpster as Maya approached the building. The girl glanced over her shoulder once, cautiously, then slipped through a gap in the fencing. She crouched near the entrance, pulled off her backpack, and unzipped it slowly. From where Lauren knelt, she could see Maya's hands move inside, removing and inspecting items one by one. There were stacks of dollar bills, messy, folded, some slightly damp, a handful of unopened snack cakes, a water bottle, but then something else, a small leather wallet, brown and faded, with a cracked corner. Maya opened it, scanned something inside, then tucked it deep into one of the bag's inner compartments. She pulled out a small notebook next, pages covered in color-coded scribbles, time slots, initials. None of it made immediate sense, but the careful way she handled it spoke volumes. Lauren's breath caught when she saw the final item, an ID card. It was not Maya's. She couldn't make out the name from that distance, but the photo was clearly of an adult woman, young, possibly early 20s. Maya stared at it for a moment too long, then slid back in and zipped the bag tight again. Her movements were fluid, practiced. She stood up and knocked twice against the door in a specific rhythm. A few seconds later, it creaked open from the inside, and she disappeared into the shadows. Lauren stayed frozen behind the dumpster, heart pounding. Her mind scrambled for explanations, none of them good. Everything she had just seen felt wrong in a visceral way. The money, the hidden ID, the abandoned building. It wasn't just a kid trying to make some extra cash. There was a system here, a pattern. She waited a full 10 minutes before standing and walking away. That night, Lauren sat at her kitchen table with her laptop open but untouched. She kept going over what she'd seen, frame by frame, like a film reel looping endlessly in her mind. She searched for missing children in Seattle, for street vendors, for signs of exploitation. But nothing she found matched Maya exactly. Forums had scattered posts. People asking if it was normal to see young kids selling candy in certain areas. A few commenters wondering if it was some kind of scam. But there were no names, no investigations, no concrete reports. Just whispers. She typed a post herself, asking if anyone else had seen a girl with a yellow jacket and a heavy backpack selling lollipops downtown. She refreshed it 3 times before closing the window. Her phone buzzed. A message from a co-worker, reminding her about grading deadlines. Lauren ignored it. She couldn't stop seeing the way of that backpack, the precision in Maya's hands, the way her eyes darted toward that man before she fled. This was more than a child with a sweet smile and some candy. And Lauren couldn't look away anymore. Lauren woke up the next morning with a raw urgency twisting in her chest, the kind that didn't come from sleep deprivation or stress, but from the undeniable weight of knowing something that couldn't be unknown. She sat on the edge of her bed for several minutes before moving, mind already racing through possibilities. The images of Maya, the backpack, and the dilapidated building crowded her every thought. There was no more pretending this was simply a child in a difficult situation. Whatever Maya was involved in, she wasn't just surviving. It looked orchestrated, deliberate, and almost certainly dangerous. She began with the official channels, knowing full well how ineffective they could be when information was limited. Still, she had to try. She called the Washington State Child Protective Services and explained everything she had witnessed: the unsupervised child, the backpack full of money and documents, the abandoned building, and the potential involvement of other children. But without Maya's full name, address, or any concrete evidence of abuse, the case couldn't be prioritized. The woman on the line spoke kindly, but the undertone of procedural fatigue was unmistakable. "I understand your concern, Ms. Torres," the agent said, her voice professional but distant. "Unfortunately, unless the child is in immediate danger and we have a location or identity, we're limited in how we can proceed." "You said she wasn't hurt." "No," Lauren replied, frustrated. "But that doesn't mean she's safe." "I know, but we need more to go on. If you see her again or if there's any escalation, please call us back immediately." Lauren hung up and sat staring at her phone for several minutes, anger pulsing quietly beneath her ribs. She wasn't naive. She knew how bureaucracy worked. But it didn't stop her from feeling like she'd just let Maya down. She turned to less official paths next. Online forums, local subreddits, even community Facebook groups. She began messaging people who had posted in the past about seeing children selling candy on the streets. Most of the threads were old and led nowhere, but eventually she connected with someone, an older woman named Karen, who ran a secondhand bookstore near the city's edge. Karen described seeing several children, mostly between the ages of 8 and 12, selling lollipops or chocolate outside her shop at irregular intervals. "They're always polite, always clean," Karen wrote, "but they avoid talking. If you ask too many questions, they vanish like smoke. I called the police once, but by the time they came, the kids were gone." Lauren asked if she had ever seen a girl in a yellow jacket. Karen replied within minutes. "Yes, just last week. She looked about 10, dark hair, very quiet. Backpack was bigger than she was." Lauren felt a chill crawl up her spine. The pieces were scattered, but they were beginning to align. She took the next step instinctively, driving by the building where she'd last seen Maya enter. She parked half a block away and waited, slouched low in her seat, pretending to scroll through her phone. The street was quieter than usual, maybe because it was a Saturday. After an hour, nothing had changed. No movement, no sign of the girl. Just as she was about to leave, a figure exited from a side door of the same building, A man, lean and sharp-featured, carrying a black plastic bag. He looked both ways before walking toward an old van parked along the alley, his movements brisk and controlled. She lifted her phone and snapped a few blurry photos through the windshield. It wasn't proof, but it was something. Later that afternoon, Lauren returned to her laptop and dug deeper. This time, she started searching missing child reports and local articles about youth exploitation. Seattle had its share of tragedies, but most of them faded quickly from public memory. She found 3 short news items about minors involved in panhandling or suspicious street vending rings. 2 of them were dismissed as misguided family-run businesses. The third was from over a year ago and had no follow-up. What unsettled her most were the replies in the community threads. So many people had seen children like Maya. Some had tried to help. Most had looked away. None had any answers. Feeling cornered, Lauren decided to return to the building on foot. She left her car further away this time and walked along the sidewalk with the calculated ease of someone pretending to belong. As she neared the entrance, she spotted Maya, this time walking from the opposite direction, alone but more alert. She was wearing a different jacket, gray and thinner, but the backpack was the same. Her expression changed the moment she saw Lauren. "You shouldn't be here," Maya said flatly, her voice devoid of the politeness it once carried. "I just want to talk," Lauren replied, keeping her distance. "Please." Maya stood still for a few seconds before glancing behind her, scanning the street. "You've been watching me?" "Yes," Lauren admitted, "because I'm worried about you." The girl looked at her in silence for a long beat, then gave a soft exhale, somewhere between resignation and defiance. "You're not supposed to follow," she said. "I know," Lauren answered, "but I can't pretend I didn't see what I saw. I just want to understand." Maya's expression shifted slightly, a flicker of something beneath the surface. Fear, perhaps, or exhaustion. "You don't get to fix this," Maya whispered. "Nobody does." "I'm not here to fix it. I'm here to listen. Or help, if you let me." Maya said nothing. Her fingers tightened on the straps of her bag. Lauren tried again. "Is that place where you live?" "No." "Is someone making you do this?" The girl looked away. "You wouldn't believe me," she said finally. "Try me." Maya glanced over her shoulder one last time, then turned and walked away. Not quickly, not in fear, but with finality. Lauren didn't follow this time, but she knew she wasn't being dismissed. Not entirely. There was something in the way Maya had spoken, something in the steadiness of her voice, a crack in the armor. That night, Lauren sat on her couch, reviewing the photos she had taken, the scattered notes she had collected, the maps she'd marked with pins and names. Her world had tilted, away from syllabi and homework rubrics, into something rawer and more urgent. Somewhere in the outskirts of Seattle, a 10-year-old girl was living a story no child should carry, and Lauren had decided she would not look away again. The third time Maya agreed to meet Lauren, it wasn't on a street corner or near the condemned building, but in a quiet coffee shop tucked between a veterinary clinic and a locksmith. It was a neutral place, warm, hushed, the kind of space where people spoke in lowered voices, and the clatter of cups masked difficult conversations. Lauren had chosen it carefully, hoping the distance from the streets would offer Maya a kind of invisible protection. No backpack this time, just a small shoulder bag clutched tightly across her chest like armor. Maya slid into the booth across from Lauren with a quiet composure that seemed far older than her age should have allowed. She didn't order anything, but she accepted the hot cocoa Lauren had already placed on the table in front of her. She didn't drink it, though. She just held it, both hands wrapped around the mug, drawing warmth from it like a small animal soaking in sunlight after days of cold. Lauren didn't speak at first. She let the silence do the work, not out of strategy, but out of respect. Maya glanced out the window, watching the rain dance against the glass in restless patterns. Her lips parted, then closed again. "I'm only doing this because I know you'll keep showing up," Maya said eventually, her tone devoid of resentment but tinged with exhaustion. "I just want to know the truth," Lauren replied softly. "Whatever you're ready to share." Maya exhaled, slow and deliberate. Then, with a practiced attachment that broke Lauren's heart before the story even began, She told her everything. My parents died in a car accident 2 years ago. Maya said, I still fix on the rain. I was 8. My brothers were 5 and 3. Lauren didn't speak. She listened. They didn't have a will. We didn't have any real family nearby. Social services sent us to live with my mom's cousin. I didn't know him. None of US did. He said we could stay with him, but he didn't want to raise us. He just saw an opportunity. Maya's voice didn't crack. It didn't tremble. It was hollow, like she'd told this story to herself too many times, and each retelling had chipped away another layer of emotion until only facts remained. He figured out fast that people feel sorry for kids, that they'll buy candy or snacks or whatever if it's a little girl selling them. So he started training me what to say, how to smile, how to walk away if someone asked too many questions. He gave me the backpack and told me I was in charge of the money, that if anything got stolen or if I lost it, I'd be punished. Lauren's hands were clenched beneath the table. She forced herself to relax them. At first it was just me, then he added my brothers. He didn't let them go out alone, not yet, but he's been teaching them, making them practice what to say. He says it's better than foster care, that if we run or talk to cops, we'll be split up, that they'll take us and we'll never see each other again. Her eyes finally met Lauren's then. There was no plea in them, no ask for sympathy, just a flatness, a silent endurance carved into her bones. I believed him. Still do, maybe. I don't know. What's in the backpack, Maya? Lauren asked quietly, though she already suspected. Everything, Maya said almost immediately. Money from the day. Snacks, in case the boys get hungry. A notebook with schedules. Who goes where, how long to stay. Copies of their birth certificates. My mom's ID. Some old photos. A burner phone he gave me, but I only use it to text him when I'm done. I don't get to keep it. She paused, biting inside her cheek, then added, I also write in a diary. I don't think he knows. It's hidden in the lining. It's where I plan things, like how we could leave, where we could go, but there's never enough money to make it real. He takes most of it. Lauren felt like she couldn't breathe. The magnitude of it, how a child had been forced to carry not just physical weight, but emotional survival for her entire family, was staggering. It was the kind of story you want to dismiss as exaggerated, implausible, impossible. But every word rang with a dull ache of truth. Why tell me now? Lauren asked. Maya shrugged. Because you didn't walk away. Most people do. Or they ask dumb questions and then leave. You didn't. Lauren wanted to reach out, to take Maya's hand or say something reassuring, but the girl didn't seem ready for closeness. So she kept her voice steady, even careful. I can help you, she said, but I need your permission. And it might mean talking to people who can protect you and your brothers. It might mean a long process, and it won't be easy, but it won't be like what you're living through now. Maya looked down at her cocoa again, finally taking a sip. When she set the cup down, she didn't speak for nearly a full minute. He doesn't hit us, she said. He feeds us, makes sure we're clean. We go out every day, and we bring the money back, and it's enough to keep us together. That's more than some people get. But it's not enough, Maya. It's not safety. It's not freedom. The girl didn't argue. When they left the coffee shop, Lauren offered to walk her to the bus stop. And this time, Maya didn't object. They stood side by side under the awning as the drizzle thickened into steady rain. Maya's shoulder bag looked small now, almost fragile. Lauren glanced at her. Want to say something? Anything. That would make this easier. Will you think about what I said? She asked. I already am, Maya replied. Then the bus came, and she climbed aboard without looking back. Lauren stood there long after the bus disappeared, her heart heavy but no longer helpless. The truth was out now, sharp and undeniable. The question wasn't whether she would act. It was how. Weeks passed, each day heavy with anticipation and cautious hope. Lauren's evenings were no longer filled with lesson planning and marking essays alone. Now they were consumed by legal research, phone calls to people who worked in child advocacy, and meeting with a lawyer who specialized in family and child welfare cases. She secured contacts at a local nonprofit that worked to place children in safe situations. And with each conversation, her sense of responsibility deepened. She kept Maya's truth close, but never forced decisions. Instead, she moved carefully, wanting to protect the fragile trust the girl had extended. One Thursday afternoon, Lauren and the lawyer she'd found, a gentle, determined woman named Maria, sat in Sterling & Associates, a modest office with walls lined in dark wood. Maria held Lauren's photographs, Lauren's notes in the diary, the one Maya had hidden in her backpack's lining, which Lauren had managed to photograph clandestinely, after Maya turned down an offer to show it physically. The entries had mapped Maya's family's routines, hopes, and longing for escape. "This is more than hearsay," Maria said, tracing the handwriting. "This is a plea. This diary will make a difference." Lauren's heart thundered. "Can they take him?" "The cousin?" Maria leaned forward. "Yes." "With enough evidence of neglect, of emotional abuse. You have testimony, proof of his control, evidence of the children working rather than attending school, their fear. If we move fast, a temporary custody order can remove them from his care before he can react." Later that evening, Lauren walked toward the bus stop where she and Maya had exchanged hurried goodbyes. Rain threatened again, but tonight the air felt different, quiet, urgent, alive. She paced, rehearsing what she might say. When Maya approached, her eyes wary, Lauren stopped her gently. "I know you're afraid," Lauren said, "but help is coming." Maya's gaze flickered to the passage of streetlights. "Will I lose this?" She gestured vaguely. All the years she had carried on her small shoulders. Lauren thought of the backpack, filled with money, documents, photos, plans. She remembered the way Maya's voice had sounded when telling her story. Flat, aching. And she knew exactly what Maya meant by this. "You might lose the weight," Lauren said, voice low, "but not the things that matter. Not your brothers, not your stories, not who you are." The girl stared at her, words caught somewhere between fear and hope. After what felt like an eternity, she nodded. That night, Lauren rode with Maya and her brothers in an unmarked car, alongside a social worker named Jordan. The youngest two held their sister's hands, trusting, silent in the strange stillness of the vehicle. They drove to a shelter, a clean, safe house with warm lights and soft beds. There they were given fresh clothes, meals, toys. Maya watched it all with solemn detachment at first, as if disbelieving could be real. But when the youngest brother smiled at her over scrambled eggs, something in her cracked, and she let a single tear fall. For the next several days, Lauren visited often, each meeting full of awkward silences, hopeful glances, small steps toward healing. She brought books for the children, games, things to make them feel seen beyond the danger they'd endured. She read Maya's favorite poems to her middle brother, who loved whispers of rhythm and rhyme. She helped the youngest, who barely spoke, draw pictures of rainbows and home. Through these small acts, Lauren became a consistent presence in their lives. Someone who didn't ask them to smile too soon, but who believed that someday they would. Meanwhile, the legal wheels turned. Maria presented the evidence. Photos, diary entries, accounts from Karen the bookseller, Jordan the social worker, documentation that the boys were unregistered at school and that Maya was made to work. The temporary custody order was granted, and a licensed foster family was vetted and approved. Lauren attended the court proceedings, watching Maya sit beside her brothers, quiet but present. When the judge spoke the words that transferred guardianship, Maui's, Maya's, eyes filled with fragile relief. Over time, the children adjusted to their new home. Letters arrived, handwritten by Maya, in her diary style, addressed to Lauren. Simple sentences, uneven but honest, saying, "Thank you for being brave. I remember rain in the backpack, and we are safe now." These notes Lauren kept in her desk at home, alongside the notebook of scheduled routes Maya had once carried, now meaningless fragments of that burdensome life. Months later, on a crisp spring afternoon, Lauren received a small envelope. Inside was a folded note in Maya's careful script and a pressed wildflower. It read, "Thank you for seeing past the candy, for noticing. I carry less now, but I will always carry your kindness." Lauren closed her eyes and pressed the flower to her chest, feeling the weight of that message. not heavy but powerful. A child's life had shifted course because a stranger chose not to walk away. In the quiet after that, Lauren stood on her front porch, the dusk sky settling over Seattle, and thought about what she had seen in the rain. It had been more than a girl with lollipops. It had been a call, one she answered. The story ended not with dramatic fanfare, but with soft continuity. The children safe, Maya learning to trust, Lauren no longer just a teacher, but a guardian of their futures, a witness who refused to look away.